Hey everyone, Zian over here from Nintendo Life. So whether you're a regular viewer of the channel or not, if you just take one look at my room, you'll probably be able to tell that I love to collect video games and video game things. Now I've been collecting these sort of things for years and years and years, but nowadays, some of this stuff can be disgustingly expensive. It can be a really hard hobby to break into. And the reason I love to share it so much is because I want more people to understand and appreciate the value in having a physical collection. It's sort of like having your own personal library of things that you can access at any time to borrow to friends if you trust them well enough or not. And you'll always have these things so that way you'll never forget about them. But like I said, it's really tough to get into nowadays because so many games are just so expensive. And over the years of collecting, I found a number of different ways that have sort of helped me get more video games at prices that I'm happy with, or just also made the hobby a bit more fun. So today I wanted to share with you 3 tips that I feel are incredibly important when it comes to collecting retro games. And these are things that I've had incredible luck with, good experiences with, and things that I think not everybody's going to consider. So if you're interested in the hobby, and even if you've been collecting for a long time, you might have never thought of some of this stuff. Now, this first tip might sound incredibly obvious, but it's one that I find a lot of people struggle with, but I think it's important to remember that you don't have to buy a game the moment that you see it. Let's say you've been on the hunt for Pokemon Emerald for the Game Boy Advance. Now that game fetches an incredibly high price these days. I think last time I looked on price charting, it goes for around $150. Let me just check again. Okay, so price charting has it at $140 loose. That's just for the cartridge. And for those unaware, price charting is an incredibly helpful resource when it comes to finding out the value of video games. It's kind of like if you ever used Beckett Pokemon Trading Card Games magazines back in the day, or for sports cards or anything like that, it's kind of like it's basically just a price guide. You can search up a video game and it'll give you a price for loose, for with the box and manual, maybe if it's brand new. And you can kind of use that as a good gauge because it takes the average of what games sell for on eBay. And when I say sell, I mean what they actually are selling for, not what people are trying to ask people to buy their games for. Now, price charting isn't the end-all deciding factor in what you should pay for a game, because there are variables here and there, but it's a really good guide to use on the fly. Now, to get back to Pokemon Emerald, let's say that you have been looking around for a copy, right? Right now it price charts for $140 loose, and you walk into a store and you find one for $200 or $175. I don't know what person has the amount of money to just be able to drop on something like that. So maybe I should have used a different example. But let's say Mario Party 4 on the GameCube. Let's say hypothetically it's a $40 game right now, and you walk into a store and you find it for $75. Don't feel pressured to buy it then and there, because eventually you will find it again, and hopefully it'll be at a price that you're happy with. Feel free to take a look around on eBay, check online marketplaces, maybe reach out to a friend and see if anyone has a copy that would be willing to sell you one. Now, I've noticed this a lot more in bigger cities, but there are certain brick and mortar stores that will raise their prices because they're in a big city and because they like in maybe New York or Portland or LA even, for example. There was a store I went to in LA where they had a copy of Sonic and the Black Knight for $35. I think last I checked, unless if John Cartwright raised the price with his Wii video on accident, okay, so it's still about a $10 to a $15 game is what I would say. And you'll just have places that I think are trying to catch people off guard, maybe not because they're doing it maliciously. I think it's more just they have to keep the lights on because rent is more expensive in certain regions, certain areas. What I'm trying to say is don't let FOMO get a hold of you. I think it's good to be cautious, especially like when an online store is going down for a system. Of course, the prices definitely tend to go up when news of something like that breaks. I remember PlayStation 3 and 3DS and Wii U games have all gone up, and PS3 games have come back down, I think, now from what I've seen too, thanks to the fact that Sony isn't shutting down the store right away. But, it's good to be cautious of things like that and kind of get games maybe if they're a lower value, but definitely just don't blow all your money if you don't have to, unless if it's something that you're planning on playing tomorrow. Obviously I own so many video games over here. Don't mind the fan. It's very warm in my room today at night here. But I own so many video games that I'm probably never going to play all of them. I would love to. That would be very, very, very cool if I could. But what I'm trying to say is, though, is if there's something like, if you want to play Metroid Prime tomorrow and it price charts for 40 bucks and you find it somewhere for 50 and you just want to spring on it, go for it. It's disgusting that Metroid Prime could potentially be a $50 game somewhere in the modern age. What I mean is I'm not trying to talk you out of buying games. I'm just trying to say that it's okay to wait for a deal. There are so many things that I have waited for in my life. You know, it really is, there's the saying, good things come to those who wait. And I really do believe in that. Eventually, if you just wait around long enough and you're diligent and you look, you'll find the game for a price that you're more comfortable with. Unless if it is something like Chibi Robo or Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, or like I said, Pokemon Emerald. You know, you may never find a game like that for half of the price that it books for, you know, online. But I think if you're smart with your money and you're careful, you'll be able to get the stuff that you want for a reasonable price. One thing that really helps me when I go into a retro game store looking for games is I have a wish list on my phone through an app called GameEye, and I reference that whenever I want to just quickly look at a section and see if they have anything that I'm looking for. And if they have something that's at a price that I'm happy with, then I'm more likely to get that. Unless, like I said, if it's something that I want to play tomorrow or that night or, you know, in the coming weeks, then I might be more inclined to pay a higher price for it because it's something I want, you know, like sooner than later. But I think if you make a list of the things that you want, then when you go into a game store, you might be surprised by the things that you see on the shelf, because now you'll be kind of looking for things that you may have overlooked before because maybe your priorities have changed. And obviously not everyone's going to want to make a list. Not everyone's going to want to collect 1,000 video games or more, and that's crazy. You shouldn't do that. Please don't do that. But I think being able to make a list has allowed me to wait for games more often. If I see something on the shelf and it's too high of a price, I know that there might be something else in the store that I can get that's on my list that's a bit more affordable. And I think it's allowed me to just get more stuff by being a bit more cautious with my purchases and smarter, I think. I think that's a fair rule in life just in general, is you work smarter and not harder. Or, I mean, do both, work hard and work smart, but just, it's your money, you worked for it, so don't just throw it away at the first time you find Pokemon Emerald. Now, before I started Nintendo life, I was trying to collect complete in box games or CIB games more as I just wanted to get my favorite games. Nowadays, I still do that, but I'm a bit more lenient with what I try to make CIB. Like at some point in my life, I told myself that it would be a lot of fun to try and collect the boxes and manuals with the game cartridges for every rareware or rare game that was ever developed for the Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy Color, maybe not NES because that system can get a lot more expensive, but basically everything else that was developed by Rare. I wanted to try to get all of those games. And while I could just go on eBay or walk into a store and buy each game complete in box, you know, in pristine condition, with their Nintendo Power offers and everything, if you want to do that, oftentimes people are going to be selling those games for a much higher price because they have all the components there already. It's already put together. Now, I can't necessarily guarantee that this is going to work for everyone. Your mileage will definitely vary and you'll have to be careful with it. But one thing I found incredibly helpful is that, and actually even just a lot more fun to do, is to collect the games, the components of a game part by part. So for example, I'm still trying to complete my copy of Killer Instinct Gold on the Nintendo 64. I have the game, I have the manual now, and I have the combo list that I don't know why I put fists up, but I have a combo list that was also included with the game because the N64 era had a lot of fun extra additional pack-ins. I think Mario Kart 64 even had like a pamphlet that had the controls just on it that you could put in front of you when you played if you wanted. Almost like something you would see inside of an arcade cabinet when you're playing that would show all the controls and everything. So I managed to pick up the manual. I think I got that at a game store in Madison for maybe $5 or $10 a long time ago. I got the cartridge for probably around 20 or 30. And then there was another store in Wisconsin somewhere where I found that combo list for free on the edge of a counter. They just had a little stack of manuals and you could take anything you wanted for free. I've had Pokemon Snap for a while now. I probably paid 10 or $20 for it, but I ended up finding the box for it at a store in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, I think it was. And the box is not incredible. Like it's ripped up top here. It's got some dings and stuff, but like most of it, it's in pretty good shape. Then I just recently got the manual. One of my friends was very kind to gift me the manual. I reached out to him because he has a bunch of boxes and manuals for games, and he actually had it and gifted me that. He also gave me the manual for Advance Wars 2 Black Hole Rising, because I bought this at a store with some extra store credit that I had, and the manual that came in this copy was in super bad shape. I'm assuming they kind of must have pieced it together themselves, maybe, like they had the loose cart, they had the box, and then they had the manual separate. But so I got this for a lower price, and then I got that manual from my friend for free, and now, like, Pokemon Snap, and then even just recently, like Mega Man and Bass, I got Mega Man and Bass. Please don't light me on fire. I ended up picking up the cartridge for about 20 bucks recently. I got the box and manual back home in Wisconsin on my most recent trip for 35. And then I got the manual in Oregon for $4. So I spent about $50, $60, I would say, on this game. And complete in box, it goes for around $130, $140. So if you play your cards right, what I would say is make a list. If you're trying to collect complete in box stuff, make a list of the games that you want to have complete in box, and then write down the things that you're missing. For example, I actually have a joint list between a few of my friends and I, and so whenever we go out game hunting, we'll actually reference that list, and a lot of it starts to get baked into our brains, and we actually kind of like function together as a team to try to get each other the different pieces that we're looking for. So one of my friends is trying to collect basically every single Pokemon game complete in box. And so over the years, I found him random manuals. I bought a lot of Game Boy boxes on eBay once, and it came with one that he needed. And so we'll trade things with each other and gift things. And it actually makes collecting video games a lot more fun. It's almost like I don't know, it's different than just like walking into a store and buying a game and putting it on the shelf. It becomes more of like an experience that I cherish because I'm doing it with my friends, and we're making it a bit more special by trying to collect the pieces for games instead. Because then when we walk into a store, we're not just looking for the coolest games or the most expensive things. Like, for example, when I went back to Wisconsin, I ended up completing this whole stack of video games. I got the game and the motion adapter for this. I got the box there. I got this manual. I got the manual for Pokemon Snap. I got the disc for that. I could go on, but I got a box art for some of these as well. You might spend a lot less in a store, but you could complete something that you had at home already. I think I enjoy like trying to put these things back together. It's kind of like maybe somebody, like I would compare it almost to like restoring a car. Like, you're definitely not, like, maybe Game Boy modding is maybe more on that side of things, but I think it's very rewarding to do this. And then you're making your stuff kind of cooler in a way too, because you're having all of the components for it. And working with my friends has been a lot of fun too, like I've said. So I've shown these off before, but I have 2 of these Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo DS game card cases. These were from Club Nintendo, and you can actually store 3DS and DS games just right in them. You can store 18 in each of them. Now, I have gotten rid of quite a few loose games because it's just been a lot harder to find DS cases out and about, but I still do have some in here that I'm trying to find boxes and manuals for. But most recently, I've also completed a lot more of these games as well. So if you have the time and you have a specific subset of things that you want to try and get boxes and manuals for and have complete in box on the shelf, next time you go to a retro game store, ask them if they have a section of boxes and manuals or cases that you can see that they would potentially sell you. Now, I do know that a lot of stores like to hold on to them so that way they can eventually complete them themselves. Some stores don't have them organized or priced, or maybe they just don't have the time to let you browse through them and then figure out prices and stuff. So if a store ever tells you that they don't really sell that kind of stuff, don't get mad at them. Don't give them a hard time, because if that's how they want to do it, that's okay. But what I will say to the store owners out there, if there's anyone watching this video that owns one, I think for me, it's the stores that I've gone into that have treated me with that kindness of showing me, the little extra goodies that maybe they're saving for themselves, or, it's helped me kind of build good relationships with these stores. For example, when I was back in Wisconsin, I stopped at a store that actually had a bunch of boxes and manuals, and they sold us, my friend Zach and Evan and I, they sold us a good chunk of them. It was a positive experience. It was really kind of them to let me flip through their boxes and manuals, and it it was so good to be able to come home and complete some games. When I used to work at the game store too, we had so many boxes and manuals sitting in the back room. And I think eventually I kind of ingrained in my brain like what stuff we had and what we didn't. So if a loose disc came through, I might know to go in the back to look for something. But a lot of that stuff is going to sit around for years and years and years. So if you can, just pass it on to the customers. I bet they're really going to appreciate it, just like I did recently. These are all just empty boxes and manuals for games that I want, that I don't own right now. Same with these here as well. I don't have the discs or the boxes or the, I guess the discs or the cartridge for Shin Megami Tensei 4. I don't have those currently. But you know, like there was a really cool GameStop employee that just gave this to me. So now I just basically just have to track down the case, the actual game case for it, the manual, and then the cartridge. But now I have like the art book, which I think, or maybe it's it's a strategy guide. And I have the soundtrack and that slipcover and everything for free. So like I said, just whenever you're at a store, whether it's a GameStop or a local mom and pop, just ask if they have any empty boxes and manuals. GameStop shouldn't ever charge you anything for them. They should just be free, or they won't give them to you. That's totally their call. And that's a corporate thing. You know, they can't charge you money for the boxes and manuals. But if a local mom and pop wants to, that's maybe they paid money for them. You know, like there are boxes and manuals that are very expensive these days. But it doesn't hurt to ask. And that's what I would say, is just ask. Don't be afraid to talk to the store employees and see if they can help you out. Now, another thing that's helped me out here and there over the years, which I wish I was able to do more of, is sometimes I'll pull games out of my collection that I decide that I don't want anymore because I tried it out and it wasn't for me, or just wasn't very good, or maybe there's a new special HD version coming out, or you know, a remaster or something like that, or I decided I wanted like Hydro Thunder recently. I might get rid of the N64 version because I might want the Dreamcast version instead, even though the N64 version is 4-player, the Dreamcast version is more like the arcade version, and that's the experience that I want. So, you know, sometimes I might pull things out, or maybe I'll find an incredibly good deal that I couldn't pass up at like a thrift store or a garage sale, and I'll have extra games that I don't need. So one thing that I try to do when I have a big stack of stuff is to send pictures of those games or a list of them to friends that might want to trade with me, or even work with people on Facebook forums, or I've heard people do it on Reddit as well, and there's probably Discord communities where you can trade video games. Imagine if we all just tried to do a better job of just trading with each other. I think you would have a lot less people trying to just sell games online. If you're a collector and you just want more games, if you just want certain games in your collection, then why not try to just trade with other people to get the stuff that you want? Because maybe your friend down the street, or your friend that you play games online with, maybe they'll have a stack of stuff that they don't play anymore and that they don't want, but maybe in that stack is something that you've been looking for years, or you've had your eye on for a while, and maybe you can help each other out by trading a few games. And you know, using something like price charting, it makes it really easy to kind of find out what the value of games are as well, so that way everyone's kind of getting an even trade. And maybe you're a person that doesn't really care about that either, and that's super cool if not, but it's cool that we have these tools at our disposal now to make sure that people are getting treated fairly with game trades. Now, of course, you also want to be careful to just don't trade with just anybody. I haven't had any trades online where I've ever gotten really like taken advantage of. Everybody's been incredibly cool. Like I wanted to trade somebody for some games a while back, and they wanted 30% more value for the games that I was trading them. And I thought they just wanted the stuff that I had. I think they were trying to like make money off the stuff I was trading them, when in reality, what I was trying to trade for them was just stuff that I wanted to play and have in my collection. So, you know, I think there's different kinds of people out there that you have to be careful of. And there are probably people on Facebook and Discord and Reddit that will try to trade with somebody and they'll never ship anything. So be incredibly careful. Make sure to, you know, kind of investigate a little bit who you're trying to trade with, or find out what the reputation is. I know Facebook specifically, I've seen, has like community member ratings. So like there's a few Facebook groups that I'm in there where I'll trade with people. And I think after you do enough transactions or whatever, you can get rated or something like that. So, you know, I think it's good to be cautious. And there have actually been some incredibly good trading experiences that I've had going to retro gaming events as well. There are, you know, some people are just in it for the business, and some people only want to trade to make money, or they like, if you want something from them that's worth $50, you have to give them something worth double the price or like an extra 50% above value, you know, for them. Like they need to make money at the end of the day, which I understand. But I think from time to time, you'll also find vendors as well that are just collectors at the end of the day. And they just also, maybe you have something that they want and they just want to help you out. There was one, I brought this up on the channel before, but at the Portland Retro Game Show Expo, like the mini event that I went to, it was like a swap meet. There was somebody there that was super cool and just traded me 100% value for the stuff that I had, which was really nice. I think he was getting a game for his kid from the stuff that I had for trade, and it was super cool. I have a few friends in Oregon here as well that I like to trade games with from time to time, and we're super chill with each other and just trade 100% value, and we always have our backs. And gosh, it'd be so cool to like start up an event where people, like, there's no selling, there's no exchange of money. People are just trading games to get new stuff that they've never heard of or that they've always wanted to play. And I think it'd be good to be cautious about value and make sure that nobody's trading a $200 game for a $10 game, you know. But I wish we could exist in a reality where that was a thing, because I think the world would just be better for it. And I realize this was a very big ramble, but I think, you know, if you, like I said, if you have an extra stack of games, take a picture of it, ask some friends if they have anything they want to trade, and maybe you'll be surprised by what you two can work out in the end. Maybe you'll each walk away with something that you've wanted for a long time, like I said, and now you don't have to struggle. You're getting rid of some stuff that you didn't like, or you can maybe part with. I've had a lot of success with it, so you never know. You never know what can happen. Now, I brought out so many things here on on my desk to show you and tell you, I put this together a long time ago and got this for this price and blah blah blah. And I could ramble on about all that forever. But so instead, what I would love for you to do is let me know in the comments down below the last time you bought a physical video game in person or online, and maybe you got a deal. It doesn't have to be a retro game. It could be a Nintendo Switch game. It could be something that you've been wanting to play for years. It could be something you found at a thrift store or something you traded with a friend. Let me know the last genuinely fun and good physical video game purchase, the experience that you've had most recently. Let me know what that was. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you go ahead and trade that subscribe button with a friend by giving it a good old click, as long as you're not already subscribed. If you are, don't trade it. Keep it for yourself forever. Don't ever give it away. And then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we put up new videos. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Xeon from Nintendo Life. I hope you found these tips useful. Please let me know if you did. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time. Oh, and I'm probably going to be at the Portland Retro Game Show as well, in Portland, Oregon. So if you happen to want to trade some games with me, DM me on Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can message me on Instagram, whatever you want. Let me know what kind of stuff you have. I'll probably try to build up a little stack of things to take and keep in my backpack. And it probably won't be the coolest, but if we can trade something that we both, you know, have an interest in, that would be awesome.